What's up, YouTube? Something that's universal among all sports fans. I don't care what sport you're talking about. We could be talking about this sport, the sport that I grew up playing, the sport I actually played today, or we could be talking about the world's most beautiful game, football. No matter who you are, if you're a sports fan, you relate to getting together with other sports fans and complaining about officiating. Oh, the referees! They screwed us over. It's part of sports. It's something that we all enjoy, something that's very cathartic for us all. So we're going to react today to some of the worst referee decisions in history. Now, these are egregious. I'll be honest with you right now. I've already reacted to this. The problem with that is sometimes I am a doofus and I screw up the microphone input, so there's no audio from my initial reaction to this. But I've seen this video. It's a very competently made video. We're going to go through it again. Go subscribe to this guy's channel. His name is Dada Football. He's not even to 10,000 subscribers yet. This video has hit 1 million views, so he's doing well. But go ahead and subscribe to him. Help him get to 10K because this is a fantastic video. Let's get into it.
And equalizes the score to 2-2.
This is one that I had seen even previous to my first reaction to this. Somebody sent this to me during a Twitch stream. But that is absolute robbery. It might be the worst decision I've seen, especially even in this video.
2. Restoring hopes in England's team for advancement to the 2010 World Cup.
Poor lads.
Wait a minute. Are we sure? That's what would have happened
Poor
if
lads.
the referee hadn't made a scandalous mistake robbing England of an important goal. How is that possible? I'll present to you this and many more mistakes of football referees, such as awarding 3 yellow cards to the same player in one match. 30. Incorrect decisions made by a referee in a single match, who was subsequently sent to prison. Unfairly winning the World Cup by England in 1966. And let's start with the most curious mistake in football history. It occurred in 1986 during
Classic.
the quarterfinal match between England and Argentina. In the 51st minute of the match, Maradona used his hand to...
This is what he said, a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God, or something like that.
Score against Peter Shilton's
It was a
goal.
wordsmith,
Interestingly,
that's for
Maradona insisted his teammates celebrate with him after scoring to distract the match referee from noticing the foul play. Journalists suspect there was no mistake here at all, and the referee's action was intentional, driven by a desire for revenge against the English team. This is
something that I want to look into. I actually would like to. I don't have the time to do it because I have so many research papers to write for my own schooling, but when I have time, I would love to do a deep research project and kind of read into that story to kind of understand the history and the context there, because I know that there was a context beyond just what happened on the pitch that day. And so to kind of understand, maybe there was some home cooking by the ref that day because of maybe some hatred towards the English. So I don't know.
is not the only scandalous behavior of a referee that I found for you. Remember, one of them from the 2002 World Cup ended up in prison. But before that story, let's go back to the 2005 Champions League semi-final, where Liverpool fought Chelsea for a place in the final. This match introduced the term ghost goal. Jose Mourinho used this term because of a goal that shouldn't have been allowed. The Reds advanced to the final, which, as we all know, they won. There were many doubts whether the ball actually crossed the goal line, which led scientists to get involved in the matter. After a thorough analysis, they unequivocally stated that Chelsea had been cheated. The only justification for the referee is the fact that the goalkeeper committed a foul on a player from the Reds, which should have resulted in a penalty kick. However, as we all know, a penalty kick doesn't guarantee a goal. After the match,
a penalty kick is no guarantee. So yeah, that's dumb.
An angry Jose Mourinho commented on the whole incident. I would say it wasn't.
Also, by the way, I paused so much. This guy, great video, fantastic presentation throughout, good script even. This guy mispronounces names even worse than I do. And I'm not trying to throw stones, man. Everyone on this channel knows that I am notoriously bad at pronouncing names. Some of these pronunciations, even I know, are incorrect. So I know this is Jose Mourinho. It's not that bad of a mispronunciation because, but we'll see some other ones that are just kind of like odd.
Liverpool who scored the goal but the linesman. It was a goal that came from the moon. Although time may heal old wounds, moments like Henry's handball remain scars on the psyche of Irish football. It was the 104th minute of the match for qualification to the World Cup. The battle between France and Ireland. World-class striker Thierry Henry clearly used his hand twice.
Thierry Henry? Are you serious? Thierry Henry. It's Thierry Henry.
To control the ball in the penalty area, then passed to William Gallas, who put the ball into the net without hesitation. This incident affected the outcome of the match, securing France's place in the World Cup and sending Ireland back home. The Football Association of Ireland, FAI, and many players were outraged, believing that the only way to rectify the injustice was to replay the match. Even Brian Cowan, the then leader of the country, was among those calling for a replay. When it became clear that FIFA would not agree, the FAI continued to appeal to the World governing body.
So clear,
However,
man.
FIFA's then president, Sepp Blatter, angered Irish officials when he revealed that they had asked to be awarded a place at the World Cup as the 33rd team, ridiculing the Irish team. Justice caught up with the French as they were eliminated in the group stage of that tournament.
Take that, Thierry. I'm surprised they didn't call him Thierry Henry, but Thierry.
Only 1 point. 3 broken teeth, cracked ribs, damaged vertebrae, half an hour unconscious, coming in and out of a coma. Injuries similar of a car accident. But this is football. It was perhaps the most obvious red card ever seen.
This guy was put into a coma, and not only did he didn't even get a yellow card. He not only did he not get a red card, he didn't get punished with anything except being able to take a goal kick. This one is shocking to me. And the first time I watched this, I was floored that this didn't get called.
In the World Cup, yet German goalkeeper Harald Schumacher was allowed to remain on the field. It was the World Cup semi-final. Sevilla, July 8, 1982.
Sevilla.
France and West Germany draw 1-1. Michael Platini passes through the...
I'm sorry. You guys know I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but tell me, you can tell me if I'm wrong down below. Is it Mikel? No, I think it's Michel Platini. They call him Mikel Platini. In Sevilla? I don't know. You guys can tell me. I don't know. Some people have confused me with the double L's. I've thought the double L's were always a "y" sound, but apparently there are some regions in Spain where they don't pronounce it that way. So you guys can let me know if I'm being too harsh with the ridicule here, but it's just it's surprising to me.
Center of the German defense. Patrick Battiston chases the ball, takes a shot, and suddenly Battiston lies on his stomach. His arm sticks up, his fist clenched in an unnatural, unsettling manner. The arm drops. Colleagues quickly gather around and urgently call for help on the sidelines. There's concern for his health. He had no pulse, Platini later said. The West German goalkeeper looks like he's becoming impatient with the delay. His hands are on his hips, and he places the ball on the 5-meter line. Lift him up and take him off the field so I can take a goal kick, his body language suggests. Battiston's world plunged into darkness. This one's really with a deafening thud. It took 6 months for him to fully recover. The only consequence for the goalkeeper was a goal kick. That was the outcome of the most brutal foul ever to take place.
Dude, the fact of the matter is, number one, that the game kept going is crazy. We had a situation in the NFL a few years ago where a guy named Damar Hamlin basically died on the field, and they had to do emergency CPR right there on the field. They were doing chest compressions, trying to bring this guy back to life, get him breathing again. And thankfully he survived. The crazy thing is he's playing football, American football again, in the NFL, which is crazy. But that game did not continue. They were talking about playing the game, and both teams decided we are not playing a game after we just witnessed a player basically die on the field. And this situation, this guy's in a coma. It's 6 months later, and he's trying to recover from the fact that there wasn't a serious brawl or fight after this is kind of crazy to me. Or that the fact that the game actually was allowed to keep going. It's kind of strange to me, because that looks like a horrific injury, and should have been an obvious red card. That's just insane to me.
place on the World Cup fields, no free kick, neither a red nor a yellow card. Referee Charles Corver completely overlooked the incident. Unfortunately, I did not see the collision because I was following the ball, he told L'Equipe in 2012. I immediately asked if my assistant referee saw it. He told me that in his opinion, it was not intentional. Therefore, I could not do anything. It was perhaps the greatest match of all time in the World Cup. A 3-3 draw after extra time led to a penalty shootout. Schumacher saved 2 goals, and West Germany secured a place in the final against Italy. Unfortunately, as a result of this incident, only Germany wanted such a result. No one else wanted them to win. During the 2006 FIFA World Cup match between Australia and Croatia, Croatian footballer Josip Simonic received 3 yellow cards. This situation happened only once in the entire history of the World Cup, and the unfortunate referee who made this mistake was Graham Poll. Despite his successful career as a referee in the Premier League spanning over 25 years, he will always be remembered as the guy who gave 3 yellow cards. Poll made this mistake in the last group stage match when both teams were fighting to qualify for the knockout stage. The match ultimately ended in a 2-2 draw, and Australia advanced to the knockout stage. Looking back, it was an absolute blessing because Croatia benefited from having one player remain on the field when he should have been sent.
Yeah, this one is one of those ones where it's kind of like a bizarre, like really bad refereeing moment, but it didn't have the same kind of negative impact on the game like some of these historic ones did. And so, and also it's kind of tough for a respected referee to have this kind of moment. I actually like the way he handled it afterwards because he kind of handled it with some integrity.
It was in the 61st minute when Poll first showed a yellow card to Simonic. This was issued for a rather aggressive foul on one of the Australian players, so Poll rightly reached into his pocket and gave a yellow card. He then noted it down. Towards the end of the match, Poll reached into his pocket again to give Simonic a second yellow card. This happened in the 90th minute after another harsh tackle. Poll again noted down the player's name and jersey number on the yellow card. However, to the disbelief of players, stadium spectators, and viewers worldwide, Poll never pulled out the red card from his pocket, and Simonic remained on the field. Simonic received the 3rd yellow card for arguing with Poll and pushing him just moments later. Poll then showed the red.
For me, the crazy thing is, if you're holding a card above a guy's head, how do you not see that that's the same dude you just? How do you? I mean, you're on the pitch with these guys. How do you not know that's the same guy who's committing all these fouls? Like, you, as the flow of the game gets going, anyone who's played in a sport before, anyone who's coached a sport, like, you can be on the sideline. Once you get into a flow of a game, and someone is playing dirty, they kind of build a reputation, and everyone just kind of knows that guy's a little unhinged today. You know, yeah. And he's on the pitch running around with these guys. How do you not realize that's him? I understand, like, he has an explanation for it, and it's not, the most implausible explanation that he just wrote it down in the wrong column on the card. But still, it's kind of one of those things like, man, if you're that clueless, maybe you shouldn't be reffing. Like, at this, maybe you need a break. Maybe you need a long sabbatical from refereeing.
Red card in front of Simonic's face and ultimately sent him off the field. Poll didn't realize what he had done until the game ended, and when he did realize the mistake, he immediately asked to withdraw from the tournament and return home.
Respect.
FIFA honored this request, but a huge question remained unanswered. How did he manage to penalize the same player 3 times? In interviews conducted after the match, Poll explained how it happened. Essentially, Poll used a player tracking system where he divided teams into 2 columns. Then when he issued a card to a player, he wrote down the name, surname, and jersey number in the respective team's column. Here's where the mistake comes in. Completely by accident, Simonic, playing for Croatia, was born in Australia. He lived there until he was 19 years old, so Simonic spoke with a fairly distinct Australian accent. In the heat of the match, Graham Poll recorded an Australian yellow card for his number 3, Craig Moore, for the first yellow card. Of course, the jersey color should have been enough for Poll to place this
and
booking
plus,
in the Croatian.
Like I was saying, you've been on the pitch with him for this whole game. You should know. You should know. Oh, I made a mistake. Yeah, actually, this is his second. Yeah.
Column. However, you can understand how he could make this mistake, especially amidst the tension and chaos of the FIFA World Cup. It's a mistake that could easily happen, considering Simonic's accent. However, on the other hand, you might think that an experienced referee like Poll would avoid such a big mistake. Either way, the consolation is that the mistake had no impact on the match's result. Before we talk about the worst referee
This one
in the
is
history
wild.
of the World Cup, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos
Yeah,
like
man.
this.
Help
And
him
give it
get
a
past
thumbs up
10K.
if you enjoy the content. Thanks. It's time for the top 3 biggest referee blunders. This situation shows that not everyone is cut out for the job of a referee who should act impartially regardless of their sympathy towards any particular team. Byron Moreno is a referee who became famous worldwide after the match between Italy and South Korea in the 2000.
I've heard a lot of things about the 2002 World Cup and the corruption of it. I've also heard a lot of amazing football was played at that World Cup. So I'm very shortly after I finish the 1986 World Cup final, I'm going to be reacting to these other World Cups. 2002 is on my list that I need to get to. That's over on my Patreon, completely unedited. Just watching the highlights of all the major games in those World Cups. It's there for $5 if you fancy supporting the channel. By the way, if you don't have the funds right now to support the channel, completely understand. I know things are hard for a lot of people right now. If you smash the like button on this video, it's almost equivalent of you donating to my Patreon, because the more likes I get on these videos, the more views I get, and those more views translate into ad revenue. So if you want to help out my channel, but you don't want to like pay out of your own pocket because you just can't afford to do it, or you don't want to spend money on entertainment, totally understand. Smash like, helps me out. I'd appreciate it.
2002 FIFA World Cup round of 16 held in South Korea and Japan. The match was dominated by Italians, who took the lead in the 18th minute through Christian Vieri's goal. However, in the 88th minute, the hosts scored an equalizer, and the score remained 1-1 until the end of regulation time, leading to extra time. In the 117th minute, An Young-hwan scored a goal, securing Korea's spot in the quarterfinals. However, the main figure of the final was not the players or the fans. The Ecuadorian referee Byron Moreno took center stage. He made mistake after mistake in that match, with the vast majority favoring South Korea. This caused massive confusion on the field, making the match difficult to watch without getting frustrated with Moreno. He failed to correctly validate Italy's goal and wrongly called an offside with his assistant. Another absurd situation occurred when, in the 103rd minute, Italy's legendary player Francesco Totti was fouled in the penalty area, which should have resulted in a penalty kick, but the referee did not whistle for the foul and perceived the whole situation as simulation. For protesting, Totti received a second yellow card and was sent off, depriving the Italian team of its best player. The referee also allowed brutal fouls from Korea, endangering the player's health. Experts calculated that Moreno made as many as 30 incorrect decisions against Italy. This gives us an average of 1 mistake every 3 minutes of play. After the match, riots broke out in the city, and popular Italian commentator Bruno Pizzul described the situation as a broad daylight robbery. The referee was suspended multiple times by the Ecuadorian Football Federation after the World Cup, including for a situation where he extended a match by a whopping 14 minutes. If that wasn't enough, on September 2nd, 2010, at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City, he was caught trying to smuggle 6 kilograms of heroin in his underwear. Initially, he faced a sentence of 10 years in prison. Eventually, he served only 2.5 years. When Gianluigi Buffon learned that the anti-hero of the 2002 Korea-Italy match was caught smuggling drugs, he commented on the whole incident: 6 kilos of drugs. I think Byron Moreno already had them in 2002, but not on him, but inside him. Let's go back to the 1966 World Cup, specifically to the final match between England and West Germany.
Look how big those numbers were back in the day. Took up the entire shirt. Also, the ball, the orange, it looks so much heavier than the ones that we kick around today, currently. Those things look like they would hurt your foot to kick. They look like they weigh like 20 pounds. I know that's not true, but they look very heavy.
The match took place on July 30th, 1966 at Wembley Stadium. It attracted a huge crowd of fans, numbering as many as 96,000. If that wasn't enough, Queen Elizabeth II was present in the VIP area. England was eager for their team to win and claim their first World Cup trophy. It was a magnificent final. England, heading for victory after coming back from a goal deficit, led 2-1. Then, as minutes passed and the England team and fans began to celebrate, West Germany was awarded a free kick on the edge of England England's penalty area. A scuffle ensued, a West German player pushed forward. The teams were preparing for extra time. West Germany was joyful, and England was shocked. After 90 minutes of regular time, the score was 2-2. Extra time began an emotional roller coaster.
So cool that we have footage of this
game. In the 101st minute, the 11th minute of extra time. Hurst, who had already scored earlier in the match, received a pass from Alan Ball, turned and shot towards the German net. The ball rebounded off the crossbar after a powerful shot, then off the ground and back into the penalty area. The closest player to the England goal, Roger Hunt, threw his hands up and turned to celebrate. West German players protested that it wasn't a goal. Initially, it seemed that the Swiss referee agreed with them, but he approached the Azerbaijani linesman from the side of the field. The linesman, who later claimed he was influenced by Hunt's reaction, decisively nodded, and the goal was awarded. To this day, it's not conclusively determined whether the goal should have been allowed. Experts argue that without it, the match would have still been tied and likely gone to penalties. Missing that goal robbed West Germany of hope for the trophy and the will to recover, resulting in them conceding another goal in the 120th minute of the match. Many analyses indicate that the linesman made a massive mistake, although British experts disagree and unequivocally assert that the goal was rightfully scored. After the match, conspiracy theories emerged, one of which claims that the linesman, due to his Russian heritage, deliberately deprived West Germany of the title. Now is the time for the most scandalous theft in history. It's the 38th minute of the intense England-Germany match. Frank Lampard spectacularly strikes at Manuel Neuer's goal. The ball hits the crossbar, clearly crosses the goal line, and bounces back into the penalty area. Bloemfontein, South Africa, 2010. Fans and media in both countries always recall World War II or the 1966 World Cup final, where West Germany lost to England. Despite reassuring statements from coaches and players, the match promised to be exciting, and so it was. In the 20th minute, it was already 1-0 for Germany. Miroslav Klose intercepted a clearance by his own goalkeeper and scored past James. It was Klose's 12th goal in World Cup history, equaling Pele's record. In the 30th minute, after a pass from Thomas Müller, Klose found himself in front of the English goal again, but this time, the English goalkeeper prevailed. 2 minutes later, after another great pass from Müller, Lukas Podolski found himself in a clear position on the left side and scored between James's legs to make it 2-0. However, England didn't give up. In the 34th minute, Upson rose highest to head in a free kick and make it 2-1. Literally a minute after the goal, Frank Lampard received the ball and lobbed Manuel Neuer with a spectacular shot that bounced off the crossbar and into the net. English players and fans erupted in joy as it was a crucial goal, leveling the score at 2-2. Unfortunately, the joy didn't last long, as moments later, the referee Jorge Larionda signaled that there was no goal and the ball didn't cross the goal line. Fans watching on TV were shocked to see numerous replays confirming that the ball had indeed crossed the line. Unfortunately, this information didn't reach the Uruguayan referee in time, informing the referee about the course of events. This situates discussions about such solutions.
The old VAR discussions
had been ongoing for a long time, but FIFA had been firmly against technological revolution in football. Fortunately, such mistakes are a thing of the past due to goal line technology and the VAR.
Yeah, I think that some of those were absolutely egregious calls. The one that still gets me is the fact that there was, I mean, this is 1982, so we're relitigating the past like horribly, but there was no red card given, and the guy's in a coma. You know, could have died from his injuries, and there's not even a yellow card given. And then the excuse is I didn't see it happen because I was watching the ball. Give me a break. All right, you guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What's the worst refereeing performance you've seen in your personal experience as a football fan? Mine had to do with that game against Uruguay in the Copa America. What an awful piece of